On August 19, 2024, Liaoning province in China began to experience continuous heavy rainfall, as if the heavens were unleashing their full might on this region. The rain poured down in torrents, with each drop heavy and relentless, quickly overwhelming the landscape. In just a few hours, the rainfall levels had surpassed critical thresholds, forcing the reservoirs in Huludio and Chaoyang cities to release water. The pressing question was whether the residents were prepared for what could be a historic flood. The water level at the Gongshan Reservoir rapidly approached its flood control limit, prompting urgent action from authorities. On August 19, the sluice gates were opened, releasing water at a staggering rate of 50 cubic meters per second. This unleashed new rivers, sweeping away everything in their path: soil, rocks, homes, and the memories of those living there. The water release was set to continue for 7 days, but the critical concern was whether the people of Liaoning had enough time to brace for the oncoming deluge. By August 25, the situation grew even more dire as heavy rains continued to batter Ningxia province. Areas such as Yinchuan and Wuzhong were submerged under floodwaters. Red alerts, the highest level of warning for heavy rain, were issued in many places, but there was still uncertainty about whether these measures would be enough to prevent nature's wrath from causing further devastation. By 10 p.m. on the same day, the recorded rainfall at 5 monitoring stations in Yinchuan had exceeded 100 millimeters. Low-lying areas quickly turned into vast, sprawling lakes, swallowing up villages, homes, and lush green fields. Local authorities worked tirelessly through the night, but could anyone have truly anticipated the scale of this disaster? The flooding did not stop at Ningxia, it spread to Gansu province, where numerous rivers breached their warning levels, thrusting residents into perilous situations. The relentless downpour, coupled with water surging from upstream, exacerbated the already dire circumstances. What will happen next? Are the emergency measures in place sufficient to protect what remains, or are we merely witnessing the beginning of a much larger catastrophe? Nature seems to be testing the limits of human endurance. Rivers that were once tranquil have transformed into raging torrents, carrying destruction in their wake. We find ourselves at the brink of a daunting battle, with the outcome still shrouded in uncertainty. So, what lies ahead? Can we withstand this fierce onslaught from nature? Time will tell, but for now, all we can do is brace ourselves for the worst that may come. On August 19, 2024, Liaoning province in China was suddenly confronted with the wrath of nature as floodwaters from local reservoirs began to surge with terrifying force. Torrential rains fell without pause, transforming lush green hills and tranquil rivers into uncontrollable torrents. As the floodgates at the Gongshankwi Reservoir were opened to relieve pressure, a massive flow of water, moving at a rate of 50 cubic meters per second, roared down toward the villages below, like a ferocious dragon, sweeping away everything in its path. By the afternoon of August 20th, the situation had worsened dramatically. The water flow surged to 600 cubic meters per second, rendering all efforts to control the situation futile. Familiar roads turned into raging rivers, sweeping away homes, vehicles, and even lives. The floodwaters carried not just physical debris, but also a pervasive sense of terror and panic, spreading through villages from Sandayagu to Jayojayalan, once peaceful homes to thousands. On August 20th, 2024, the city of Buludio in Liaoning province became the epicenter of a natural disaster as the heavy rains, which had begun on the night of August 18th and continued through to the morning of August 20th, turned the area into a vast expanse of water. In less than 48 hours, roads, villages, and even entire cities were submerged under the overwhelming power of the floodwaters. But what exactly caused this rainfall to become one of the most severe disasters in the region's history? In Jianxiong and Suizhong counties, the floodwaters arrived with such speed that residents had no time to prepare or evacuate. A sudden flash flood swept through, trapping over 300 people. In a desperate bid to save lives, rescue teams had to deploy helicopters for emergency evacuations. However, with the floodwaters rising by the hour, the question remains, how many others are still stranded, waiting for rescue? The situation was further complicated when communication systems and mobile phone signals were disrupted across several areas. Hundreds of families lost contact with their loved ones, while social media platforms were flooded with posts from people searching for missing relatives, hoping for news from the flood-ravaged zone. Still safe. According to the Liaoning Provincial Fire Department, areas such as Haisheng, Lijiadian, Heshengfangzi, and Yangmeidianzi have been hit hardest. Rescue teams, including over 50 firefighters, have been deployed and are working tirelessly on the front lines. But as the relentless rain continues to pour, the pressing concern is whether there will be enough time to save all those in danger. The average rainfall in the city has reached 143.9 millimeters, but in certain areas like the Yangshu village in Xiaoqi town, Suizhong County, the figures have soared to a staggering 521.7 millimeters. These numbers are not just statistics, they are a testament to the harshness of nature. The relentless downpour has not only caused floodwaters to rise but has also triggered flash floods, landslides, and mudslides, directly endangering the lives of thousands. Yet, the looming question remains, are the ongoing rescue and disaster prevention efforts sufficient to combat nature's fury? As the floodwaters continue to surge, will the people be able to survive this storm, and can anything be salvaged from the devastation? We are witnessing a one-sided battle between humanity and nature, and the outcome of this fight is still a mystery. Still isolated from the outside world, completely cut off. The floodwaters show no sign of stopping, rising higher and engulfing everything in their path, leaving nothing but desolation in their wake. Villages are submerged, homes wiped out overnight. Nature has unleashed its power in a brutal and unforgiving manner, and in this battle, humanity is left with no choice but to endure, hoping to find a glimmer of hope amid the storm's chaos. Within a few days, by August 22nd, 28 towns and villages were completely cut off from the outside world. Torrential floodwaters swept through, submerging entire villages and sweeping away everything, from homes and vehicles to infrastructure. People struggled to find shelter, but many old houses were completely washed away. Videos shared by local residents show a horrifying scene, villages now turned into a vast sea of water, with no signs of life. Low-lying areas such as Haishankasai Town, Heshingfangzi County, and Yangmeidianzi County suffered the most severe damage, with nearly 40,000 villagers forced to evacuate urgently. However, the disaster did not stop there. The water discharge from the Gongsan Reservoir caused the Daling River's water level to rise suddenly, resulting in catastrophic flooding in many villages and towns in Chaoyang City. The rivers, once lifelines for the people, have now become deadly torrents, flooding roads and sweeping away nearly 100 vehicles in the city. The situation is particularly dire along the Daling River and its tributaries, where the powerful currents have eroded riverbanks and destroyed dams, bringing down critical infrastructure as well as homes. The surrounding rural areas have borne the brunt of the damage, with entire villages completely obliterated. Houses have collapsed, communities have disappeared under the water, and what remains is nothing but desolation, a scene straight out of a nightmare. But is this the end of the disaster, or just the beginning of a greater series of tragedies? As floodwaters continue to rise, the question remains, what more can we do to confront this destructive force of nature? And can what has been lost be recovered, or will it be forever submerged under the cold waters of this historic flood? On August 25, 2024, as the morning fog lingered, Ningxia was engulfed by unprecedented heavy rain. From early morning, many flights at Yinchuan Hedong International Airport were delayed. Passengers stranded at the airport anxiously watched the torrential downpour outside, trying to negotiate with airport staff in a state of uncertainty. But amidst the escalating tension, an unexpected incident occurred. The entire airport suddenly lost power. In the darkness, the faint lights from mobile phones illuminated the space, filled with anxiety and unease. But the question arises, what will happen next if this situation continues? On the same day, China's National Commission for Disaster Prevention, Mitigation, and Relief activated a Level 4 emergency response to deal with the severe rainfall and flooding occurring not only in Ningxia, but also in northern provinces such as Shaanxi and Shaanxi. China's emergency response system includes 4 levels, with Level 1 being the most severe. But is this response enough to confront the uncontrollable force of nature, as the wrath of the floods continues to wreak havoc on a wide scale? Meanwhile, in Ningxia, traffic has been completely paralyzed. Yinchuan Traffic Police had to implement temporary control measures at 33 critical intersections in areas such as Jinfeng District, Xixia District, Yongning County, and Lingwu City. But are these measures sufficient to ensure the safety of residents as the relentless heavy rains continue to pour down, turning roads into fast-flowing rivers? By 11:05 a.m., several highway sections in Ningxia had become impassable due to deep flooding. Toll stations on major highways such as Qinyin and Yinchuan were temporarily closed to prevent vehicles from entering dangerous areas. Toll stations like Nan Airport, Lingwu North, and others were no exception, causing traffic to be completely cut off. While people are trying to move safely, the big question remains, when will this rain stop, and how many more challenges lie ahead? With each passing hour, the situation becomes increasingly tense and dangerous. Floodwaters continue to rise, and control and response measures are being pushed to the maximum. But can all these efforts withstand the fierce power of nature? Or are we facing a battle where humanity can only try to endure, hoping for salvation that will come from the right and timely decisions? As these questions linger, the people of Ningxia and other affected areas can only wait, in anxiety and uncertainty, hoping that this nightmare will soon pass. The 2024 flood season has brought unprecedented challenges to Liaoning Province, China. From the early days of August, this area has faced a historic flood, causing the Yalu River to rise to levels never recorded before. The situation became so severe that authorities were forced to evacuate large numbers of people in Dandong City. But is this enough to prevent a disaster? Floodwaters continued to spread across Liaoning province, attacking from east to west, from north to south, leaving no place untouched by the flood's destruction. Each area faces its own challenges, from protecting property to ensuring human safety. But more concerning is the loss of communication in many areas, exacerbating the difficulties. Local residents are struggling to cope with the scale of the disaster, not knowing if outside relief efforts can reach them in time. Not only Liaoning, but other regions across China are also facing extreme weather phenomena. In Guangdong, heavy rains have caused severe flooding, disrupting the lives of millions. The Qinhuangdao area of Hebei is no exception, as floodwaters have inundated towns and villages, causing widespread damage. In Shaanxi province, cities like Tongchuan and Yan'an are facing another disaster, large hailstorms. Not only damaging crops, but these hailstorms have also exacerbated the agricultural losses across the country, leaving people worried about their livelihoods in the coming months. All these events highlight a terrifying reality: China is facing one of the harshest flood seasons in recent history. But the big question is, can we withstand the challenges that nature is presenting? As each day passes, the situation becomes more tense, and the response measures may not be enough to protect people from the increasing dangers. Or is this just the beginning of a series of even harsher events awaiting ahead? The flood in Dandong signaled a bad omen, and subsequent developments have surprised no one. But how many other lands across China will have to endure this disaster? As the flood season continues and extreme weather events show no sign of stopping, we can only wait anxiously, hoping for tireless efforts to minimize the damage and protect lives. But will that be enough to stand against nature's immense power? When the floodwaters recede, the lessons we learn from this disaster will not only be about preparation but also about humility, facing what we cannot control. At this moment, we all need to unite, support each other, and remember that no matter how strong nature is, it can still be countered with resilience and human determination. The challenges ahead are still there, but with faith and effort, we will overcome them together and learn to coexist with nature, instead of trying to fight against it. If you want to stay updated with the latest news and the most noteworthy stories around the world, don't forget to follow the Best Notes channel. Join us to never miss any important information and share memorable moments. Click follow now to always stay updated with the best content.